Welcome to Tactical Reviews, and in this video we're going to be taking a detailed look at the Luc slip joint folder from Mercury. I've got two versions of the handle options. There are single piece aluminium handles, and here we have those with a handle insert of the green micarta and the orange G10. These two knives, I don't have packaging to show you. These are show knives, so ex-demonstration knives from EWA 2025, which also means that as we go through the video, you might notice a few marks, knocks and so on. So they're not representing a brand new out-of-the-box product, but it allows us to have a look around the features of this knife. So before we go in and really look close up at these, just wanted to have a section here with general handling, get an idea of what these knives are like to carry. So as an overall, it's slim and compact. There's no pocket clip, so keeps it even thinner. I've got a nice generous size lanyard hole. Otherwise this is just a drop in your pocket or a pouch, or have a slip cover, and we have a half stop. The other handle options, I believe it has one piece aluminium handles. Here we have these two with the different inserts, G10 and micarta. The Luc has an Elmax blade. It does have a very modern interpretation of a nail nick there, but only on one side. And personally, this really is a pinch grip open. So looking at how that is in the hand. Both sides at the same time, doing it this way. There's a few other things I'll point out when we zoom right in on these. You might guess from some of my branding and other imagery that orange is one of my favourite colours, so this will probably be the one that I focus on more. However, the feeling in the hand of G10 and micarta is quite different, and micarta giving a more natural feel. So in some ways the micarta has that nicer in the hand feel, although I really like the look of this G10 one. Anyway, let's come in now really close and have a look at all of the details. So just as a starting point, now we've come in very, very close before I pop this one aside. So here's the micarta next to the G10. And I'm just going to put one of them aside while we really look in at all these finer details. So very nice finish on the pivot bolt with the Mercury logo. Gonna fold this up, and you can see on the other side of the pivot a nice decorative bolt. Moving across that fit of the G10, very nicely inset. The large lanyard hole, part of the back spring. Just open half stop. the H there, and inside we've got our phosphor bronze washers. Back onto the blade. As you see, it's Elmax steel. That nicely milled nail nick or grip point. And next up we'll go in for the detailed technical measurements. So this is the section of taking the detailed technical measurements of the Mercury Luc. As I mentioned before, I'm probably going to, just for the sake of simplicity, stick with the G10 version. On the initial weigh-in though, sometimes the handle material makes a bit of a difference on the weight, so let's just see. Starting with the G10, that weighs in at 74.6 grams, and then by having just the micarta as a difference, we have 72.5 grams. So slightly lighter for the micarta version, if that was a factor for you, apart from the fact it also feels different to hold. And then we'll have folded length. Of course, these measurements should all be the same. Folded length is 10.7 centimeters. Width is widest in the center here. And that's 27.2 millimeters. So overall length, open. That's 18.8 centimeters. Blade length from the front of the handle is 82 millimeters. No pocket clips to worry about with the handle thickness, so just let me put that blade away. There is a pronounced extra width at the pivot. Here the handle screws are flush, so if we just take a standard 12 millimeters for the handle thickness, and just over the pivot 12.8 millimeters, but it's just a little bit for that raised pivot screw. Handle depth, no pronounced swell here, instead it just widens towards the end of the handle, so I've got to take that widest point, 21.8 millimeters. An unusual measurement now for these technical measurements, because it relates only to UK EDC legal knives, and that means they're non-locking and they have a cutting edge less than 3 inches. However, there is a peculiarity where that edge is measured, where it is a curved edge. It's not measured heel to tip, because the curve elongates the length. So what we actually do is roll it, and starting here, as I roll the edge, I am hitting bang on 76 millimeters, which is the 3-inch limit for the UK. So let's just do that again and roll that edge, and I get 76 millimeters exactly. So it's right on it for a UK EDC legal cutting edge. Now, balance might be, again, ever slightly different with the different handle materials, but it was only 2 grams different, so I'm only going to measure it once with the G10. So you get to visually see where it's balancing, as well as me taking the measurement. And that is 11.3 centimeters from the tip for the balance point. Blade thickness 2.3 millimeters. Grind looks to be flat, and it is. Flat grind. We have a wider flat at this point, so that will be where I take these measurements. So, grind length. Is it 11.5 millimeters, and that is where the blade is 20 millimeters. So measure the primary bevel angle now. And we have 10 degrees. And 20 minutes. So 10 degrees, 20 minutes for the primary bevel angle. Now similarly, okay, no, not onto that point. So this is the factory edge bevel measurement. I'm going to actually use the fact I've got these two, although you can't see the measurement happening, and just see whether there's any difference. So we have some evidence of the fact it is a show knife actually. With the laser edge bevel protractor, the laser shining off the edge does show some of the defects. I think there's maybe a very slight bit of edge rolling. So for the right hand edge, we're looking at a main angle of 19 degrees, but with a bit of damage out to 28, and the left hand is 25 degrees. That's on the G10 one. For the micarta, it's a bit of a cleaner edge, so we have 16 degrees for the right hand and 20 degrees for the left hand. May have to do the sharpness test for both. So that was the factory edge bevel angle. Point angle. Point angle is 50 degrees. Thickness behind the edge now. Just measuring at the top of the edge bevel. That was 0.61 millimeters. This is something I tend to repeat because getting just the right spot. 0.58 millimeters for thickness behind the edge. There is a general curve, so therefore a rake to the geometry here, and let's get our estimate of rake. Which is actually reasonably significant. 10 degrees for the rake. And now we'll look at these factory edges. The factory edges that have been through at least one major exhibition, EVA 2025, so don't know what condition they're still in, but I'm going to measure both the knives. I set myself up only for one, so just bear with me as we go through. First of all, the G10, which had evidence in the laser edge bevel protractor of a little bit of edge damage, but we'll see. So center of this G10, 269 grams. Heel sharpness, 224 grams. And the tip for the G10, 286 grams. A quick reload. And we'll do the micarta one. Okay, so center measurement for the micarta. 192 grams. And the heel, 207 grams. And for the tip, 273 grams. Well, thank you for joining me in this look at the Mercury Luc. And remember, get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.